Welcome back to another episode of The Art of Shitboxes. Today we've got the Volvo, surprisingly, I guess not surprisingly, back in here. Lo and behold, I put it up on the lift and haven't put it in the drive. There's a lot of chatter coming from the angle gearbox, which is a common problem. So my daily is shot. Yeah. To the LS finally, so we can get it in the Camaro. All right, I guess it's time to formally introduce the 1970 Camaro back there. Long story short, I picked this project up for a customer 10, maybe 11 years ago now, when I was actually still running the shop and my dad was not. So I took care of the paint for him at first. Then he asked me about motor stuff, and I convinced him to do an LS swap or an L33 swap roughly 10 years ago. Throughout the 10-year tenure, I've had this car. I ran into some issues. I went back to school. I couldn't work on it anymore. He had his own issues come up, and so we both kind of just had to put it on the back burner. It's been sitting forever. And then finally this year, I got enough of my shit taken care of. You know, my building and roof built out again in the back of my shop. And, you know, I told him, hey, I have time. All my shit's done now. I'm done flipping cars. I'm done with all this other crap I had to take care of. I can either finish this off for you, or you can take it somewhere else. Considering how far along I was, I mean, we were really close already to getting this motor running back here. And so he just said, hey, that's fine, start doing it. And so I've been doing it pretty much every weekend ever since, right up until fall, when I decided it was time to get Dan and my Miata in here and start some of that work on there. Which also happens to be the thing with swaps like this. You end up not knowing exactly what you need. So a lot, you know, we'll get to a certain point and all of a sudden we realize we need a ton of parts. I'll throw in an order for parts. And the pandemic and the shortage of goods, you end up waiting like a week or two. So in between waiting for all the parts to show up for this thing, I was hammering out other stuff. Now it's to the point where I have everything. It's time to mount the trans to the motor. I gotta go rip apart the interior actually right now because I gotta go see if the clutch kit from SpeedTech actually fits this thing, which it should. These are all the components I need to throw the T56 in here, along with a clutch pedal and slave and master cylinder. So that's on the agenda today. Now it's time to start ripping this thing apart and getting to work. Well, I'm super hyped right now. I finally got the LS motor running properly. About to fire up on video here. I was at this thing for a couple of weeks trying to figure out why it ran like shit. Turns out the PCM had like the wrong parameters. I had to splice together 2 different LS maps to get it to run. One from an LS for all the fueling stuff, since we are using LS1 injectors, and all the timing and ignition stuff from the actual L33 that it is. I don't know what the hell was on that PCM, but it sure shit wasn't working. But now it's like properly, not like so without further ado, let's fire it the fuck up. This right here is the L33 we picked up for it about 10 years ago. I think it had a little over 100,000 miles on it. I originally put together the turbo kit out of this mild steel tubing. This will get changed on my dime. I don't like this. I'm a much better welder now. I have a much better rig. Did these like 10 years ago when I was using like a $300 like massive 300 watt TIG welder I picked up way back in the day, learned a lot since, developed much better techniques. We are running a whole set HX52 on this. She's gonna push probably enough air for like 700 horse, which is all this needs. It'll be very torquey because honestly, this, as big as this turbo looks, it's probably not quite big enough for a 5.3 liter. But I've seen the same setup on multiple cars, so I know it'll put down the power in the band that it needs to be in. T56 for it. Yeah, my little engine stand. Camaro's gonna need some work later along the lines, but right now I'm gonna start tearing apart the inside around here so I can cut into the trans tunnel to get the new trans tunnel shield in there to fit the T56. Interestingly enough, this car was originally a manual, I think, even though it's got had a TH350 in it. If you look closely, oh, you can't see him, does have the brake pedal from manual setup. So pretty sure it was at one point a manual. And it's also had a cage in it at one point, as you can see right down there. She's got an interesting history in her, I guess. So let's get to it. Let's tear into this thing. All right, fun little history lesson on this Camaro, because this thing is definitely someone's half-assed project at one point. These seats are held in by nuts and screws, and the nut is on the underside of the car, and it is now freely spinning. They're also just using a trillion washers to bolster this thing up. Some really, really nice rubber grommets of some sort back here. I'm assuming the other one's the exact same way on that side. So yeah, just a lot of fun going on with this car. I'll be sure to detail all the fun things we find about this as we dive deeper into it. Pulled back the skin of this thing. Carpet's out. I gotta say, this car's definitely had a hell of a history. The rear subframe reinforcements, some fiberglass here and there, and the more I work this car, the more I realize this thing was definitely someone's shitbox project car. And I gotta say, I guess it fits the theme real well of Art's Shitbox Garage, or the art of shitbox cars. Oh, what's that in the background I hear there? Sounds like an air fog going off. It must be Dan. It is Dan. Dan is currently taking care of a lot of the fiberglass I wasn't able to get around to. He and I are probably gonna trade up spots soon, so I can do the rear quarter for him back here. He's doing a nice job of wrapping up a lot of the smaller, more pain in the ass dents from the fiberglass. She'll be pretty one day too. Not just a decrepit shitbox. Before I switch gears over here, this stuff over here is gonna be the new trans tunnel cover that I'm gonna have to weld in once I've got the T56 placed and all. So I'm gonna be cutting up the trans tunnel here shortly. I've also got to make sure all the speed tech stuff fits where it should. This is the cross member for the T56. Got some instructions. It's pretty straightforward. Pretty sure it'll go as smoothly as it can. I mean, at this point, I just give up on things going smoothly. I just assume shit's gonna go wrong. Massive cylinder. So, that's later. But for now, we're gonna switch gears, because Dan's gotten far enough where I need to come help him with this. So much to do. While the fiberglass dries on Dan's car from the last pass on there, I'm gonna get back to work on the T56 over here. We've got a lot of grime in there, so I'm just gonna quickly wire brush it out, do a little grease remover with a scuff pad, and get it as nice and clean as I can, or how the YouTubers do it. Look at how clean this thing is. Shiny. Dan and I are now going to chuck this thing onto the motor. Actually, I'm gonna get the slave in there first. And then we're gonna attempt to chuck it onto said motor. Yeah, that'll, engine, he's right. That is an engine, not a motor. I gotta remember what the technicality is between the two, and I don't really care. But it's time to get this on there. And just like that, transmission is on. With no fail, we have to tap all the holes, well, 3 of the holes back here to get the bolts going as smoothly as we could. Almost forgot I'm a pain in the ass. It is. Do this. But it's on, it's good. Next step is to make sure the pedal kit works inside the Camaro, but I'm gonna leave that next time because it is 4 o'clock and I'm over this today. Finish it up next time. Remember, kids, like, subscribe. If you don't like it, don't subscribe. A million channels just like that there.